So I went up and got between them and knocked him off his bar stool. Then I went home and nailed the door shut so he couldn't get in and threw his clothes out on the balcony.
I mean, you got some nails
Yes,
out.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
When Raymond and Charlotte started dating 25 years ago, Raymond says it was the two of them against the world. But now, after 12 years of marriage, deep distrust has crept up to the surface of their relationship.
He's the most jealous man I've ever met in my life. This guy stalked me. That's why I married him. If you want to get rid of a stalker, you marry him.
I was not a stalker. Granted, I was married, but she chased me just as much as I chased her.
Okay, I was dating him, and I had a boyfriend that I'd been dating for 2 years. And then I had another guy that I dated for a couple of years.
Look at you. I just got them all.
Raymond and Charlotte say they can't get over 25 years worth of issues.
Charlotte's probably about the most jealous person that I've ever been with.
Today on Divorce Court.
Come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toler presiding.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today with Charlotte Perry and Raymond Perry. Mr. and Mrs. Perry, you have been together for 25 years, married for the last 12. You don't have any children together. You have children from a previous relationship. You do not want to be married anymore, and you do have some financial issues you would like me to resolve. Before that, however, Mrs. Perry, I'm going to start with you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your relationship and why we're here in divorce court today?
Well, I'm tired of the drinking. I'm tired of being controlled by, trying to be controlled by a drunk. I'm tired of someone that is just constantly, I have to keep in contact with every day, over and over and over again, every few minutes. And he destroyed a couple of things in the house, and he's not even apologetic about it anymore. I mean, he's just gotten to the point where it's just, I can like it and take it or not like it. Okay. And I don't like it.
So tell me a story about living with him as a drunk.
Well, we lived in Arizona at the time, and he had a habit of going out with a friend that he met there. The guy was single, and they went out and they partied quite a bit. Well, the money wasn't coming home. The money was going out into the bars. So I got angry one night. He came home, and he was going back out again, and he obviously had had more than enough by that point. So I waited until he was gone for about 15, 20 minutes, and there was only one place he was within walking distance. So I went down, gave the barman my ID, went in, said I was looking for friends. He was at the bar, and as I started in, this lady came up, and she was chatting him up, and, you know, they were chatting and smiling and everything, and that just was the end for me. That was just, I'd had enough. So I went up and got between them and knocked him off his bar stool. Then I went home and nailed the door shut so he couldn't get in and threw his clothes out on the balcony.
You nailed the door to the house shut. I mean, you got some nails
Yes,
out.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The front door.
Yes, ma'am. That's the only door you could get in. We lived upstairs on a balcony, so unless he was going to climb up there, which I seriously doubt in the condition he was in, I nailed it closed. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want him in the house.
Can you tell me the story about the duct tape?
Oh, this was St. Patrick's Day, and we were at a bar with a friend of ours who was a bartender, and he used to experiment on us. So, you know, a lot of times we usually had quite a bit. This night he'd had more than enough, and I made the mistake of stopping and talking to a man that I dated for a few years, and I'd been dating when I met him. And he got really upset about it and decided that we needed to leave. Well, we left, and I tried to get him to let me to drive, and usually he did, but this time he just refused. And we got around maybe a block from our house and got pulled over. The officer came out and around to the car. We had one on each side of us. The minute the window went down, you know what he smelled. And he asked him, Mr. Perry, have you been drinking tonight? And he's like, I've had a couple. And the officer opened the door and asked him to step out of the car. Well, when he opened the door, he fell out of the car. I mean, literally. And he used the door to drag himself up. So he went through and he booked him. And he told me if I wanted to wait, he'd bring him out to me, which he did. Took him home. Of course, he was belligerent. You know, it wasn't his fault, you know, and the officer and all this stuff. And he had a bunch of tickets in his pocket. So I'd had enough at that point, and I said, well, you know, he needs something to remember this by. So I crumpled him up, put him in the center of his chest, and used duct tape, put a big cross across it. So that way, when he took it off, he's got hair on his chest. it'd be something he'd remember for
Not
a while.
anymore.
Mrs.
Not
Perry,
anymore.
you have a sense of humor.
Yeah, I try.
It's a little scary. I know you're at your wits' end, but it's a little scary. But you have a sense of humor, Mr. Perry. She says you're just a drunk. Is that true?
Well, no, I do have problems every once in a while. I have a little bit of depression issues, and a lot of times it gets the control of me.
Yeah. You know, alcohol is a depressant.
I understand
and
that.
And it makes it worse. It
Yes, ma'am.
feels like it's a little better for a minute, but it really does make it worse. Have you seen anybody about it? If you know you got an issue,
I have. I've talked to a few people about it.
have they been helpful?
Not when you really don't listen to what they're telling you.
That's true. You know, if you go there and not listening, it doesn't help at all. Mr. Perry, you say she's controlling. Tell me why you say that.
Well, the reason I say it is because it's a whole bunch of things. It's the main thing is dogs and a rescue. We started out.
Which he promised me I could do if we bought this house I did not want.
Now, hang on. Dogs and a rescue.
Yeah, we started out where it was just going to be a dog to rescue, which was fine.
A dog. You were going to rescue
well, we have two
a dog.
of our own. You know, rescue a dog. Okay, so I said okay, and then we got to the point where it was 7 dogs. I've got brand new furniture that have been bit up.
Did you go overboard with the animals?
I
mean,
probably
really,
did.
Kindness to animals is a wonderful thing, but if you bring too many in and you don't have the income, the area, and the time to care for them, that kindness turns a bit to cruelty because it's not right.
That's not the way at all. They are always fully vetted. What I did with the dogs was I would pull them off of Craigslist or I was with a rescue. They took care of their shots, they took care of their vet, and they supplied food. So all I really supplied for these dogs was a place for them to heal because the majority of them have been injured by a human. And I took care of them until they healed, and then we rehomed them.
Oh, you rehomed? So give them their forever home.
Yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love animals, and see, that's where she gets me, because she knows. As soon as she brings the animal home and it gets in the house, I'm not going to tell her to get rid of the dog. I mean, we're rescuing the dog. I mean, I understand.
When Divorce Court continues, just how controlling did Raymond get?
He's calling to make sure of where I'm at, mostly. If this guy had his way, he'd have a low jack out right.
Yes, I see. I got you. I know what you're talking about. Are you considering getting married but aren't quite sure your intended is the right one for you? I'll give you my opinion. Call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222. Or visit our website at divorcecourt.com. Or become a fan at facebook.com/divorcecourt.
Divorce Court is back with the case of Charlotte Perry, who wants to divorce her husband after a 25-year relationship because she says he's an alcoholic. But is he a compulsive gambler, too?
He can't walk into a casino without gambling.
How often is it? You say Charlotte is a jealous woman.
Charlotte's probably about the most jealous person that I've ever been with.
Give me a couple of examples where her jealousy has made her done something that's just
Yeah, give an example.
outrageous.
I mean, just trying to go anywhere, trying to interact with people. I mean, you look at somebody the wrong way, Charlotte's, well, why are you looking at her? Or, or why is that person talking to you? Or, or why is this person calling you?
Or she knocks you off a bar stool.
Or she knocks me off a bar
It
stool.
wasn't because of the woman, it was because of the money he wasn't bringing home for bills. I couldn't care less. Ask him how many times a day I call him, and I'll show you how many times a day he calls me.
Mr. Perry, how many times a day do you call her?
Well, the only reason I call her so much now is because she's unemployed. And it's really making it tougher on us because, we have more bills.
So
Yeah.
why would the fact that she's unemployed make you
Since
call her
June.
more often?
I'm trying to check
Since
with
June.
her and see, how her job search is going, how the finances are going.
Now, Mr. Perry, let me tell you something. That's not true.
What?
Okay?
What's not true?
That's not true. When someone calls someone who's unemployed a whole lot, they're not saying, "Hey, babe, how are the resumes coming?" You mad? You're annoyed,
No,
and you're calling her.
I am
I
not.
held a job longer than he did.
I am not mad.
Mrs. Perry, what do you say he's calling about?
He's calling to make sure of where I'm at, mostly. And if I don't answer the phone, because I don't carry my phone with me all the time. If this guy had his way, he'd have a low jack out my... Yes, ma'am.
I see. I got you. I know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
You say, Mrs. Perry, that he gambles too much.
Well, you know, it's like we were in the casino one night. He won $1,400. How much did you walk out with? Less than, he was minus 100.
Is that that could happen to somebody one time and not make him have a gambling problem?
He can't walk into a casino without gambling.
Now, most people don't walk into a casino without gambling. No, but most people, I'm saying that's where you go to gamble.
I don't want them taking my money.
Well, but my question is, does he go there all the time? I know people go there Vegas once a year and gamble. That's
no,
okay.
It's more often than once a year.
How often is it?
Probably once or twice a month.
You gamble once or twice a month?
Once a month, and I don't come home without money. I'm just saying, I don't lose that much. I mean,
You just lose a little.
No, I'm saying, when I go, I gamble, don't get me wrong. But I don't come home with a negative average. I mean, if I'm leaving with money, I come home with money. I stop at a certain point.
But not as much money.
Not as much, no.
Yeah, but so you do lose on the regular.
Well, they wouldn't be open if everybody won.
Well, that's kind of my whole point is I don't even know why people go, because...
Me either.
It's a charge. You know, it's an
Is it really? It's an adrenaline rush. I've gambled before. The minute they took some money and didn't give me anything back, I was done.
Right there with you, ma'am. Yes,
like,
ma'am.
Yeah. This isn't any fun.
When divorce court continues, what does Charlotte say that has Raymond up in arms?
Hey, that's totally untrue. That's totally untrue.
I'm going to let you respond to that. I'm going to let you respond to that.
If you would like your case heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com and follow us on Twitter @DivorceCourt. Divorce Court returns with a case of Raymond Perry, who is leaving his wife after 25 years together because he says she has jealousy issues. But is he really the jealous one?
He's the most jealous man I've ever met in my life. This guy stalked me. That's why I married him. If you want to get rid of a stalker, you marry him.
Wow. Hey, that's totally untrue. That's totally untrue.
I'm going to let you respond to that. I'm going to let you respond to that. Why do you claim he stalked you?
I would go out. At the time I met him, he was married, which he never told me. Okay, I was dating him, and I had a boyfriend that I'd been dating for 2 years. And then I had another guy that I had dated for a couple of years.
Look at you! I just got them all.
I've been married a long time, you know, and I was just
yes, enjoying your freedom.
Yes, ma'am. You know, one guy was a suit and tie. He was a different sort, and the other guy, you know, had a whole different frame. So it was like smorgasbord, yeah. So,
smorgasbord. I like your sense of humor. Go ahead.
I would go out, and I'd tell him, I'm not going to be back this weekend. We've got theater tickets, you know.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone. He would sit on the bottom steps. I lived in a carriage house, and I would come home, and there would be cigarette butts, a pile of cigarette butts where he had sat there. Now, deny that. When I lived in the other apartment and we separated, whose cigarette butts did I find inside the building at the end of the steps?
Okay, hang on, Ms. Perry. Mr. Perry, you can respond to that. Were you keeping a tight... You were watching her a little bit much?
I was not a stalker. Granted, I was married, but she chased me just as much as I chased her, no matter what she says now. Or we wouldn't be together. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Were you a persistent pursuer?
Very persistent.
And she pursued you just as much?
We wouldn't be together.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like we didn't both have choices. We did. I obviously wanted to be with her.
Right. Why end it now?
We used to spend so much time together. We spend no time at all. I mean, I come home from work, she's on the computer. I go to bed, she's on the computer.
Have you gotten sucked into that Eli thing?
I get up in the morning. She's still on the computer.
It can happen. Did you get sucked up? No. Look, take a deep breath. Look at yourself. Wow. You spend a lot of time, are you?
I pay bills over the net.
Right, but that don't take all day.
That takes some time. I'm with a rescue that I have to do background checks on people. That takes some time. I correspond with my daughter through Facebook. That takes some time. You know, he comes home, he sits down in the chair, he goes to sleep. The first thing that comes on in the morning and in the evening when you're there is the TV. So what's the difference between me being on the internet and you being on the TV?
Well, gee, I don't know.
Mr. Perry, you haven't won very many arguments in the last 25 years, have you?
No.
Because she's just all up and on top, and she's got everything buttoned up.
Yeah,
and,
you know, she has all the instances.
My husband tells all his male friends, never marry a lawyer because you'll never win an argument.
There you go.
When divorce court continues, did one drunken night result in irrevocable damage?
Well, he bought me a really beautiful stained glass lamp. He came in one night and was unsteady on his feet, I'll say, and crashed into it. He took a painting off the wall.
Divorce court returns with the case of Charlotte and Raymond Perry, who are ending their 12-year marriage and 25-year relationship.
Tell me about the lamp.
Oh, well, he bought me a really beautiful stained glass lamp. It's the Dragonfly. He came in one night and was a little unsteady on his feet, I'll say, and crashed into it. He took a painting off the wall. And used to be when these things happened, he'd have it repaired immediately. He'd be apologetic. You know, now he'll look at me and he'll go, it wasn't that much anyway.
So what happened, Mr. Perry? What happened to the lamp?
The lamp, I knocked it over, and there are some metal pieces that come out, and I broke a couple of the metal pieces.
Were you inebriated at the time?
I really don't think I was. I think it was because I was sitting in a rocking chair, and it was beside a table.
I
and the
really
table
don't
was...
think I was.
No, I really don't think I was.
Were you drinking and you just don't think you were drunk? Or you just were on your way? Or were you don't remember whether you were drinking or not?
It's kind of hard for me to defend myself when the first thing out of my wife's mouth is I'm a drunk. So, you know, I mean, I understand where you're coming from and why you're asking me that, but it wasn't because of that. It was because the lamp was sitting on a table that was too small. It's a very top-heavy lamp. It's lead glass. It's lead glass. Okay. It did fall off. Okay. And I've got no problem with fixing it.
Right.
I haven't.
Just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I just haven't.
Let me tell you, Mrs. Perry, you're a funny lady. I like you.
Did you see where it was sitting?
Yeah, I saw
against the wall.
Well, yeah,
Now,
okay.
Next to the rocking chair.
Hang on, hang on. We're not gonna holler and fuss anymore. Mr. and Mrs. Perry, I think you should stay together. I really do. I think he needs you. He needs supervision, and I think you can provide it. Wow. She loves you, drunk or not.
I know, but you're making a decision that, I mean, I understand the information that you got from her, but
telling
that's
you,
not always true.
I think you should stay together.
I love her to death.
That's what I'm saying. I think you should stay together.
It's just crazy.
Hey. I think you should, hey. I think you should close down the computer a little more, spend a little more time with him, because somebody's got to make an effort to bring it back together, and I'm asking you to do it because I think you'd be more likely to listen to me than him.
Well, you know, the thing that
be careful about the dogs. Don't bring a whole lot of extra junk in the house if you don't have to. The last thing is about the lamp. I don't know why the lamp broke. I don't know if it was an accident or because he was inebriated or because it just fell, because he tripped over the cord or whatever, and you haven't given me any evidence of negligence on his part. It was a boo-boo. It was an accident.
So
accidents happen.
Painting on the wall,
well,
and, you know.
Who knows? Who knows? But you haven't demonstrated to me a level of negligence that would require me to allow him to repay you. Go, do what? Just get out and do whatever you need to do, but there will be no recovery here today. It is so ordered.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
Since appearing in divorce court, Charlotte says Raymond has really stepped up and taken over everything. He really listened to Judge Toler and said he knew she was right, and she made him aware that you take the good with the bad. We are thinking of renewing our vows with family and friends on our 25th anniversary in April.